Hi y'all, welcome back. It's Gabian and living in his van, and I review comic books. Stick around, I got a couple of super comic books for you because it's Super Bowl weekend, everybody. I got Yard Kitty there and Diane over here, and she says hi. And as you notice, I got a couple of upgrades here. I got my a file cabinet over here, and I'm gonna keep my clothes in there. I got my TV, as you can see, and all that. All that's basically the same. And over here I got a chair and I got a table, and I got me a refrigerator over there too. So I got a whole bunch of upgrades to my truck. I went to a little flea market and everything, and I got some stuff for the truck. So we're gonna be living happy, me and Diane, and having a good old time. And I'm gonna be watching that Super Bowl this weekend. I'm pretty excited, and I hope you are too. And for that reason, I got a story I'm going to tell you about the very first superhero ever, in recorded history anyway. And I'm going to tell you all about that. And I got some comic book reviews that are going to be super as well, because we're going to have a Super Bowl weekend. All right, let me get into it. All right, so I'm going to tell you about the very first superhero that ever exists, in the written form anyway, because we can't go back any further than what's written down. And this superhero's name was Gilgamesh, and he came about, the stories came about written in 2100 BCE, and what happened was he's based on an actual king, the king of Uruk, which that king was an actual king that lived back in 2700 BCE, but it took about 600 years, and that legend kind of made him into this superhero kind of guy. So this Gilgamesh, he was something like a tyrannical leader. He was a king, but he wasn't good to his people. He worked them too hard and all that. And the legend goes he was 2/3 God and 1/3 human. And basically his superpowers was he had super strength. And he was kind of charismatic and everything, but he didn't treat his people right anyway. And so what happened was those people, they prayed to the gods, whatever gods they had, they prayed to them. And those gods kind of answered their prayers but they created this other guy, and this guy's name was Enkidu, Enkidu. So Enkidu, he was basically like a Tarzan kind of creature. He was like a forest creature, and he had some superpowers and like super strength and things like that, just like Gilgamesh. But they created him to stop the king of Uruk. So they created him to stop Gilgamesh. And what he did was this, Enkidu, what he did was he actually found the civilization. He discovered, people, and he started hanging out with people, and he really liked the humanity. He really enjoyed humanity and everything, and he fell in love with the humans and everything like that. So he went up to Gilgamesh, and they were fighting. They had a big battle. They had this battle to the death, but neither one of them could win, and they ended up appreciating each other for who they are and becoming real good friends. They were like brothers after that. So, and this really kind of, Enkidu, he really left an impression on Gilgamesh. He really taught him how to treat people right and everything, and how life is good and all that stuff. And so they kind of teamed up, and they became kind of like a sidekick superhero kind of duo. And they went around, and they were fighting. They decided to fight different battles and stuff because it was a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun fighting, and it's kind of boring being king, I can imagine. So he left the kingdom, and he went and he fought with Enkidu, and they fought a battle in the cedar forest. They went to the cedar forest, and they killed this guy. He's a guardian monster named Humbaba. So that's Humbaba. Humbaba. And all this happened around, they were Sumerian, and it was from the Mesopotamia, and so, which is our modern day Iraq. So I don't know where the Cedar Forest would be, but when he was in Uruk, that was kind of like where Iraq was. But he left that, and they went to go fighting and stuff. So Enkidu and Gilgamesh, they went around fighting. They beat up Humbaba. They killed a bull of heaven. Because the gods wanted Gilgamesh to get with this goddess girl, and he's like, I don't think so, you know. I'm having too much fun kicking ass with Enkidu. So they went around, they fought, and they became legendary after all these battles. You know, people started loving them and knowing who they are and everything like that. And the gods, they didn't really like this. That's not what they sent Enkidu there for. They sent Enkidu there to kill Gilgamesh. They wanted, you know, get rid of him because he was such a tyrant, and all these people, you know, didn't like him. Well, even though the people ended up liking him after all, the gods were like, no, these guys can't live, you know, they can't be around anymore. And they really couldn't do too much about Gilgamesh. So since they created Enkidu, they decided to make him really sick. And so they gave Enkidu a little sickness, and he fell ill, and Gilgamesh was super sad, but he was by his side the entire time. Gilgamesh, like I said, they were like brothers, and so he got this sickness, and so he stayed by his side. And eventually Enkidu died. He died from that sickness that the gods gave him, because, you know, they didn't want him there anymore because he wasn't doing his job. And Gilgamesh, he was so sad. He was so distraught and sad over it. And he just like wept, and he cried and everything for a long time. Excuse me. After that, after Enkidu died, Gilgamesh was like, I don't think I want to die. I want to live forever. So he made it his life's mission to go and be immortal. He wanted to figure out how to be immortal. And he heard about this guy that was immortal, and he could make him immortal too. And that guy's name was Utnapishtim. So Utnapishtim, he's the only man that was ever granted eternal life. So what he did, this guy, let's call him Yu, because he's got a kind of a long name, Utnapishtim. So Yu gave him all these trials and everything. He's like, I'll make you immortal. You just got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And they're supposed to be really hard, where Gilgamesh could never do it. But Gilgamesh, every time, he beat all these guys and everything. And at the end, Yu said, he's like, listen, I can't make you eternal, okay? You can't be eternal because, you know, no humans can be eternal. I know you're only third human. I can't do that. I can't do it. So he tells Gilgamesh about this great flood and everything, and tells him, you know, how the only ones that could survive were people who are eternal, and the gods and everything, and just to kind of make it easier. And Gilgamesh telling him, you know, well, I'm sorry, you can't be immortal. And well, that didn't work. Gilgamesh didn't want to take that answer. He didn't want to take no. So you felt bad for him. He did give him all these trials and everything, and he did win and all that. So he gave him this, he said that there's this plant that will make you, you know, it won't make you immortal, but it'll give you, you know, youth, you know, it'll make you youthful. And so you go find that plant, and, you know, you can have, you know, you be youthful and kind of stretch out your life a little, you know. So he did that. Gilgamesh did that. He went and he found this plant, and he was headed on home, all happy, got this plant in his belt and all that. And as he was sleeping, there was a serpent that came by, and the serpent took his plant away. And then, oh my God, he couldn't deal with that anymore. Gilgamesh, he's like, I've done all this work. I cannot deal with this anymore. And he, you know, the serpent was gone, the plant was gone. And so he was just so sad that he just went back to his kingdom, Uruk, and you know, when he got there, he realized, he saw all the stuff that he created, all the stuff that the city did and built, and what, you know, what he did when he was there, and he decided he's going to be a king again, and he's going to be a right kind of king. You know, he's going to be good to his people, and you know, he's going to, you know, leave something behind for other people. You know, do something good, because he knows he's going to die now, and he's okay with that. So he at the end of the story, he realizes that you can't defeat death, but you can learn to live despite death. And what that means is you can live a really good life and be a good person before you die, and then, you know, and then people, you know, tell stories about you and everything. You could be a legend. So he was the first superhero ever written down. That was 2100 BCE. So that was a long time ago, 4,000 something years ago. So I thought that was really something. Since the Super Bowl is here, and we're talking about superheroes and all that, it's really been on my mind. So I hope you like that story. That was the original superhero. And stick around, because I got some comic book reviews that are going to be along them lines too, okay? Dave is gonna review some comic books. He's gonna tell you what he thinks. He's gonna give it a 5-star rating, a 1 out of 5 of them stars. All right, welcome back, y'all. It's gonna be Super Bowl weekend, so I'm gonna do something special. I'm gonna review 2 comic books that kind of are along them lines. I got Superman here. This is Superman. The Superman Man of Steel. He faces his most desperate struggle for life against beings of fire, earth, air, and water, and the element enemy. And this one is from October of 1966, and it's number 199. I'm sorry, 190. It's number 190, and it's 12 cents, and it's by DC. So 12 cents is pretty good. It's a pretty good price for comic in the 60s. I imagine that'd be, you know, pretty good. So 1966. Yeah, so he in this one he's gonna fight earth, air, fire, and water. So he's got all these elements. So what happens was Superman in the beginning, he was fighting for this other planet, you know, because he can do that. He can go in space and stuff. So he was helping this other planet out, defeat all these creatures and that, and causing trouble. And so he was wrapping that up and, you know, helping them, and they're all grateful and everything. And he's flying back, and there's a space pirate that sees him flying back, and he's like, I'm gonna kill that Superman. And because, you know, it's just pirates, they're just mean old buggers and stuff. So they go, and he decides he's gonna, most of his weapons, you know, got destroyed by Superman during that other planet being being all fighting against him and stuff. So Superman tore him up, you know, pretty good. But he did have this one laser, and he sees that Superman goes to Earth. And so what happens was he's going to shoot this laser down and to 4 different people. And this laser uses the elements of Earth to turn these people into those elements. So he finds 4 victims, 4 people just walking around the street of Metropolis, and he shoots them. And one's an Earth guy, you know, one's a wind guy, one's a fire guy, one's a water guy. And he accidentally shoots Superman as Clark Kent, because Clark Kent and Superman, they're the same. And but he was Clark Kent there. He's on his way to work, and he accidentally shoots him because he didn't know he was Superman. He didn't know Clark Kent was Superman. I mean, I don't think a lot of people do in the comic books, but a lot of people should know that. And so he shoots him thinking that he was just a regular old guy, and he was, as the last guy, he's going to turn into fire. Well, it ricocheted off Superman, hit this kid, and the kid became fire. But in the meantime, it took superpowers away from Superman. And so Superman lost about half his powers, and the laser ricocheted all the other powers to the spaceship. Well, that wave of power that, you know, from the laser that hit Superman went all the way to the ship and knocked the pirate guy out. And so he's unconscious, and he's, you know, knocked out, and these other guys, he's hoping that they do what they're supposed to do, which is kill Superman. Because that's what they were trained to do, you know, I guess when, you know, he gave them those powers so they could kill Superman. So they got the idea and they started battling Superman. So Superman's got to fight all these different, you know, water and earth and all that. And the water can turn into like super glue, and the earth can turn into like steel and things like that. What I thought was really cool, that it could have been really cool, they didn't actually use in here. I thought the earth guy could turn into kryptonite, which is, you know, Superman's biggest weakness is kryptonite. But that never happened. That probably would have made the story a little bit in too fast and in too badly for Superman. So he's all fighting him through the whole thing, and that's pretty much what it's about. He's got to defeat him. I don't want to give away the ending or anything, but there's some cool ads in here too. There's a Super Turtle comic and everything like that. It was a little one-page comic and everything in between them. So that's fun to read. And of course they got some letters and mail and stuff. And I don't want to tell you how it ends, but it ends in a pretty cool way. Kind of wraps it up. So it's kind of a one and done kind of story. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little book. I definitely recommend getting it. It's like I said, number 190, Superman, and you're gonna want to. I think I'm gonna give this one. I think I'll give this one 5 stars. I think it might be a 5-star comic, just because it's just such a great story. I mean, he's fighting all these elements, and he's just one man, but he is a Superman. So. So, you know, he might come out in the end. I'm not going to let you know about that. So, and we're definitely going to bag her up. I'm going to bag this one up for sure, because you're going to want to take it out and read it, because, you know, you might learn something new, you know, when you're, you know, maybe you're reading some other Superman comics and you might learn something new about maybe that villain, that pirate guy comes back. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what happens to him. But, so yeah, I would definitely bag that up. This one's definitely a bagger. And that goes over to our other comic book here. It's a superhero comic too, because it's Super Bowl and we're gonna stay on theme here. This one is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, the mighty Amazon battles the sinister schemes of the tireless Egg Fu, the 5th. There was 5 of them. This is number 5. Can you believe it? Plus, second great feature. Once a Wonder Woman, excuse me. So this is actually a book. It has 2 different stories in it. This one's from 1966 as well. It's 12 cents by DC, just like the other one. And this one's in November of 66. And it's number 166. And it's done by Andrew and Esposito. And so those guys are in charge of making this comic book. And this one's pretty cool. She's fighting this big egg guy, and so what happens is she's sitting in the conference room of the United States, you know, military. They're trying to figure out what happened. They got one of their nuclear submarines stolen. It was actually the biggest nuclear submarine there was, and they got to get it back, and they don't know what happened to it. So they're trying to see if Wonder Woman can help them out. And Wonder Woman said, yeah, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go get on my plane and do that. And there's this guy named Steve who's part of the military. Now, Steve, he is in love with Wonder Woman. I tell you what, he does not hide it in this comic book. So Steve's like, I'm going to go ride with her if you'll let me take a little leave, and I'm going to help you find this submarine. So they're over there flying around and trying to see what they can see, and they run into this ship. This ship is... just kind of floating around there, and they go check it out, and that ship starts shooting missiles at them and everything. And Wonder Woman is like, she gets out of that plane, you know, faster than all get out, and she got her little bracelets, and she's hitting the bullets back down at the boat. She's gonna try to knock all those bullets back at the boat. So she does. They stop firing at her, and so she gets off the plane, has Steve drive it for a bit, and she's gonna go check out the ship and everything. Well, Steve lands the ship, and they go check the boat out, and Steve disappears. And Wonder Woman's sitting there like, what the hell? Where did Steve go? And then all of a sudden her plane starts getting sucked underwater. And, you know, she can control her plane by talking to it. She's like, hey, get back here, plane. But the plane wasn't listening to her. It got sucked back down into the ocean. So she goes into the ocean. She's trying to figure out what happened. She runs into a bunch of these frogmen, which basically are just these guys, you know, in scuba gear. And she like tries to fight off all these the frogman, you know, bumping her little bullets with their bracelets and everything, because that's one of her superpowers. And so she does that, and she finds out that everything's getting sucked into this big clam underwater, and this clam is huge. When she gets there, the plane fits in there super easy. She's inside the clam. She finds out the submarine's in there, the nuclear submarine that she's supposed to save. And also, there's this egg foo guy. Now, this egg foo guy, he's kind of, he's Chinese, and they're pretty racist in this book, if you ask me. They replace all his L's that he says, or R's that he says, with L's. So anything like free is flee, you know, just different things like that. I think it's kind of racist, but that's just the way it was back then, I guess. And it's just this big egg with this Chinese man's face on it, and he's got big Fu Manchu, and he uses the Fu Manchu like arms, and he takes Wonder Woman's her little whip away, her superpower whip, and wraps it around her so she can't do anything. Well, I'm not going to tell you how she defeats him, but it's pretty cool the way she does it. I don't want to spoil it for you, and because that's the ending of that one. But then it goes into this Once in a Wonder Woman, which is the second book of this. So you get 2 books for 12 cents. You can't beat that. And Once in a Wonder Woman, mostly she's this lady called Diane Prince, and Diane Prince is like she's like Clark Kent, you know, where Diane Prince is actually Wonder Woman. And she works with Steve at the military place, and as a secretary, a lieutenant or something like that. And Steve's like, hey, your best friend's Wonder Woman. Everyone knows that. Your best friend's Wonder Woman. You know, tell her I want to get married to her, you know? And he won't leave her alone about it. So Diane Prince, she sees from the window that there's a speeding truck about to hit these babies, and so she goes down there. She tries to save them without knowing that she's Wonder Woman, but she turns into Wonder Woman, and she goes down there, and the brakes are not working, and so she's got to stop them with her heels and all that. And eventually she stops that truck, and the lady's there. She's like, I wonder who did that, because they really saved our lives. I want to thank them. And Wonder Woman like, oh, they didn't see who I was. So she turns back into Diane Prince, and so Diane Prince gets credit for saving, you know, the babies, even though she is Wonder Woman. So she gets actually promoted. She gets promoted to a general, and Steve's like, congratulations on being general. Tell Wonder Woman about me, you know. So Diane Prince, she actually calls as Wonder Woman, saying that she wants to set up this big party, this charity party ball for Diane Prince, and so she does that, and everyone, they say it's a costume ball and everything, and they're gonna raise money in this big barrel, and it's a lot of fun, and everyone's having a good time, and everyone's wondering why Wonder Woman's not there. Diane Prince is there, and she's getting kind of fed up with everybody asking about Wonder Woman, even though they're the same person, you know. So what happens was, there's this girl in this leopard suit. She's kind of like a villain, and she's got these thugs with her that are dressed in monkey costumes with guns, and they're kind of silly looking. But it's a costume party, so they're like, hey, why don't we just go steal all that money that they're raising for charity as we're dressed up, you know, because this is how we dress up anyway. So they do that. They go to the ball, and they try to steal the money, and they cause a big commotion and everything, and Diane Prince has to figure out how to be Wonder Woman so she can, you know, stop these guys from stealing all that charity money. So she does something funny. She's spins in a circle like she's dancing, and she creates a tornado, and so she can turn into Wonder Woman. Well, I'm not going to spoil the ending for you, but it's pretty cool. She, you know, she does what she does, and it's a fun little story. So you're getting two comics in one if you think about it. For this one, for 12 cents, that's not a bad deal, despite all the kind of racism and stuff in it and all the misogynistic stuff in it, because Steve and all that wanting to kiss up on Wonder Woman. But it's fun. It's like a blast from the past, and it's a good little story. And I'm gonna have to give this one, I'll give this one 5 stars, because this is pretty good. This is a pretty good one. It's just, you know, it's just like I said, a blast from the past, and you're going to read it again because you're going to see what are these people thinking back then. So I'm definitely going to bag it up because you're going to want to read it again. Like I said, it's definitely a bagger for sure. So we got 5 stars and a bagger for that one. And I picked these 2 books because they're superheroes, and it's Super Bowl weekend and all that. And I just thought it'd be fun because I don't normally have superheroes on here because not all comic books are superhero comic books. So these are definitely a good read. They're going to be 5 stars, and definitely you're going to want to bag them up and read them for later. Well, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next week. I'll have a bunch of different comics to review, and so stick around and see what I got. All right, y'all take care.